Hello everybody, this is Monty with Flowers by the Bunch. Today we're going to make an arrangement for an order that has been placed, and they wanted shades of purple. So I have a glass vase that has been filled with fresh water, and we added a little bit of flower food to it. And we're going to start out with our foliage. So the foliage for this arrangement, I chose some leather leaf. Leather leaf is just an inexpensive foliage that's really easy to work with. So I chose leather as my base, and then I have Israeli ruscus, which is kind of a darker green, and then a little bit of seeded eucalyptus. So we will start using our leather. I'm going to pull my trash can over. I'm going to take my floral knife and cut that greenery at an angle, or that stem. And I'm just going to go all the way around. I have about, I think, 4 stems of leather leaf. All right, so there's my leather all the way around in my container. Next, I'm going to come in with my Israeli ruscus. Now, the Israeli ruscus gives us a little bit of height. So I'm going to take it, I'm going to strip some of that greenery off the bottom, because I don't want it to fall below that water line. So I'm going to strip that right off with my hand and just tuck that ruscus right down into that vase. And sometimes you have to pull it out, cut it a little more, but that's okay. Next, we're going to come in with our seeded eucalyptus. So look at the seeds on this greenery. It is so pretty. And so I'm going to take it and I'm going to break it apart into smaller pieces, and I am going to come around in this vase and just tuck it kind of low. And then I'm going to take the larger piece and tuck it kind of down in the center, right there. Okay, so there's our greenery all the way around in our vase. Next, we're going to start with lime flower. So let me show you the lime flower I chose for this purple themed arrangement. We have this beautiful lavender colored delphinium in. So delphinium, often you see me work with a blue delphinium, but it does come in other colors. It comes in a lavender and a purple, a baby blue, a royal blue, a white, and I'm not sure if it does a pink, but I think it's more of the purpley blue shades. I'm going to start with one piece. I'm going to take my floral knife, cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to tuck him in as my top, as my height. I'm going to take my second one, and he's really just going to stair step down. So I'm going to cut that stem and I'm going to tuck it in, and he's not quite as short as I would prefer, so I'm going to pull him back out and I'm going to cut just a little bit more. Always be careful when cutting your flowers not to cut them too short. It's important that you leave that stem length as much as possible. So there's our 3 stems of delphinium, of the lavender, soft lavender delphinium. But leave as much stem as possible, because number 1, you paid for it. Number 2, it looks more expensive when it's taller and showier. Now, of course, if you are going to make a shorter, more compact arrangement, absolutely cut those stems shorter. But when you're making a showier arrangement, or you want it to appear to be a more expensive arrangement, leave the height on those stems, okay? Next, we're going to use a lavender colored stock. Now, stock is also what I would call a lime flower. You see it's got that long linear shape, but it's a little bit chunkier, meaning our flowers themselves are a little bit more chunky. I don't know a better word to say. I'm going to take my knife and cut it at an angle and tuck that right in there in the front, and then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to take another one. I'm going to leave a little height here. I'm going to put it about here. I'm going to cut that stem at an angle and tuck that in there, and then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to tuck him a little lower here. So I'm making sure that this arrangement is all the way around. It's going to be pretty from any place you set it. So there is our stock. Okay? Now the next flower we're going to use is going to be a mass flower, or I would say it's more of a mass than a focal. And that's going to be our white hydrangeas. So I'm going to take that sleeve. We like to leave the sleeves on our hydrangeas because it helps to protect them in the cooler. But go ahead and pull that sleeve off and remove the foliage. I'm going to take my floral knife, cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to use a quick dip solution. Now you can use alum. All this is doing is giving it just a little bit of crispness to the flower. It just helps to hydrate it. So I dipped that into that quick dip for about 7 seconds, and I just tucked that pretty hydrangea right into the water. I'm going to take my second stem, go ahead and remove those leaves, kind of fluff them up, and if you see any bumps or bruises, go ahead and pull that little petal off. It's not going to hurt that flower at all. Take your knife or your snips, cut that stem at an angle, dip it, and I'm going to tuck it on the opposite side of the first hydrangea. So instead of having them side by side, they're going to be on 2 sides of that arrangement. Next, we're going to come in with some lavender mums or disc buds. And so these are called Oregon mums. And I'm just going to take these, and just like I did my stock, we're just going to tuck them here and there in this arrangement. So I like to measure. So I want my flower to be about here. So I'm going to take it and hold it on the side of my table that I'm working on. Kind of figure out where I want that height. And then I'm going to take it and cut it right where it hung over on that table. And I tucked him right in. He's so pretty and happy. I'm going to take my second bloom and I'm going to stagger him down. He's going to come down just a little shorter, right about here. So again, I'm holding him on the side of the counter here, and that's where I'm going to cut it. So that's kind of my measuring tool. Again, cut less than you think you need to cut, because you would rather it too long than too short. And on the opposite side, I'm going to take my second one and I'm going to kind of go in the middle, kind of about right here. That's where I think I'm going to have it. So I'm going to hold it up and then cut my stem. All right, so I have those pretty purple mums all the way around in that arrangement. Next, we have beautiful lavender colored roses. Y'all, I don't know what it is about this variety that smells so pretty. It's a beautiful smelling rose. Now, when I use pretty roses that have beautiful foliage, I try my best to leave the foliage on the rose. And the reason is because it's pretty. And it already comes on the flower. Don't strip all your roses from with their greenery. Leave them on if it's pretty. I'm going to take and I'm going to wire this rose. I'm going ahead and pulling off any bumps or bruises. These are actually just called guard petals. And there's nothing wrong with them. They're just a little discolored. So I pulled those off. I'm going to take a florist wire that we've cut in half, and I'm going to press it right into the little swollen part called the calyx up underneath the head of the rose. And I'm just going to twist it right around that stem. You do not need a really long wire. I mean, even 1/3 of the wire is fine. Leaving that greenery on. If there's any greenery that might fall below the water line, pull it off. I'm going to take my floral knife, cut that stem at an angle, and I'm going to nestle him in over here by this pretty white hydrangea. See how pretty he is? I'm going to take my second stem, pull any of the greenery that falls below that water line, and any of it that doesn't look pretty, go ahead and pull it off too. Take my wire, press it in that stem, and twist it right around. I think my second rose I'm going to tuck right here over this hydrangea. So I'm going to take my knife, cut that stem at an angle, and tuck him right in. And then I have a third rose, and we're going to tuck him kind of up high right here in this arrangement. But see how pretty their foliage is? Leave that foliage on. If it's pretty, leave it on there because it doesn't cost extra and it's an extra pretty texture in your arrangement. I said one time it was free and someone fussed at me. That's not free. Well, if you throw it away,